She sent the photo to the wrong number. 1 hour later, the most dangerous man in America was at her door. 3 babies. One night she tried to forget. And a crime lord who'd been searching for her for months. He built an empire on fear. She carried his legacy without knowing it. When their worlds collide, power meets vulnerability. And nothing will ever be the same. This is not just a love story. This is war, family, and the choice between everything he built and the one thing he never knew he needed. If you've never seen anything like this on YouTube, you're about to. Subscribe now. Because after this first episode, you won't be able to stop. The photo was supposed to go to her sister. A simple mirror selfie. Her hand resting on the curve of her belly. 6 months swollen with 3 lives she was learning to protect alone. The kind of photo you send when you need someone to tell you you're doing okay, that you're enough. But her fingers slipped, scrolled one name too far. And she sent it to him. A contact she'd never deleted. A name she told herself didn't matter anymore. She didn't even realize the mistake until her phone went silent. Too silent. The kind of silence that presses against your chest and makes you check the screen twice. No response. No wrong number. Nothing. She exhaled. Maybe he'd changed his number. Maybe he never even saw it. She tried to believe that, for exactly 1 hour. The knock came at 9:47 p.m. 3 sharp sounds. Controlled. Patient. She froze in the kitchen, hand still wet from washing a mug she didn't remember picking up. Nobody knocked like that. Not the neighbors, not delivery drivers. Her pulse kicked, hard. She dried her hands slowly, walked to the door, hesitated. Who is it? Silence. Then, a voice. Low, familiar in a way that made her skin remember things her mind had tried to bury. Open the door, Amara. Her breath caught. No, it couldn't be. She looked through the peephole. And there he was. Kang Minho, 31. Perfectly still. Dark coat over darker clothes. Hands in his pockets like he had all the time in the world. Behind him, 2 men in black. Bodyguards. Silent. Watching the hallway like wolves. Her heart slammed against her ribs. I don't... Her voice cracked. She cleared her throat. I don't know why you're here. Yes, you do. His tone didn't rise. Didn't need to. She pressed her forehead against the door. Closed her eyes. This wasn't happening. Amara. His voice softened, just barely. I'm not leaving until you open this door. She believed him. Her hands shook as she unlocked it, pulled it open just enough to see him fully. He looked the same, sharp jaw. Eyes that didn't blink enough. The kind of face that made people look away first. But there was something else now. Something she couldn't name. He stared at her. Then his gaze dropped. To her belly. For 3 seconds, the world stopped. His expression didn't change, but his breathing did. When? He asked. Her throat tightened. That's none of your business. When, Amara? She wanted to close the door, to rewind the last hour, the last 6 months. 6 months, she whispered. His jaw tightened. He did the math in silence. She saw it happen behind his eyes. Let me in, he said. No. Let me in. It wasn't a threat. It was something worse, a certainty. She stepped back. He walked inside like he'd been there before. Slow. Controlled. His men stayed in the hallway. The door clicked shut behind him. He stood in her small living room, too large for the space, and looked at her like she was a puzzle he'd been trying to solve for months. You disappeared, he said quietly. I left. Without a word. I didn't owe you one. His eyes darkened. You were carrying my children. I didn't know that, she shot back, voice trembling. I didn't know anything. It was one night, Minho. One night I thought we both forgot. I didn't forget. The words landed between them like a confession. She looked away, pressed a hand to her belly without thinking. He noticed. How many? He asked. Her chest tightened. What? How many babies, Amara? She swallowed. 3. For the first time, his composure cracked, just a breath, a barely visible shift in his shoulders. Then it was gone. He stepped closer, not threatening, just present. I looked for you, he said. For months. You covered your tracks well. I wasn't hiding from you. Then who? From everything you are. That stopped him. She met his eyes. Hers were wet now. You're a crime lord, Minho. You run an empire built on fear. I saw what your world looks like. I saw the guns. The blood on your hands you pretend isn't there. I never pretended. No, you just made it sound like it didn't matter. Her voice broke. But it does. It matters when I'm trying to raise 3 kids who deserve better than a life in the shadows. He didn't argue. He just stood there, watching her, listening. And somehow that was worse. You should go, she whispered. I'm not going anywhere. You don't get to decide that. Yes, he said softly. I do. She stared at him, heart pounding. He looked down at her belly again, and this time his hand moved, slowly, carefully. He stopped just inches away, waiting. She didn't pull back. He pressed his palm against her stomach. Gentle, reverent. And for the first time since he walked in, he looked. Human. They're mine, he said. Not a question. She nodded. His eyes closed. When he opened them again, something in him had shifted. Then we need to talk. He didn't sit. Minho stood by the window, hands still in his pockets, staring out at the city below like he owned every inch of it. Maybe he did. Amara sat on the couch, arms wrapped around herself, trying to steady her breathing. This wasn't how tonight was supposed to go. You can't just show up here and— I can, he interrupted quietly. And I did. She clenched her jaw. What do you want, Minho? He turned to face her. I want to know why you ran. I told you. You told me what you think I want to hear. He stepped closer. Now tell me the truth. She looked away. Her hands tightened on her knees. I was scared, she admitted. That night, it wasn't supposed to mean anything. You were a stranger. I didn't even know your real name. You knew enough. I knew you were dangerous. I knew people feared you. Her voice wavered. And when I found out I was pregnant, I knew I couldn't bring children into that world. So you decided alone. It was my body, my choice. And my blood. The words hung between them. She met his eyes. You don't get to claim them just because they share your DNA. No, he agreed. But I get to try. That surprised her. She expected anger, demands, control, not this. He crouched in front of her. Eye level now, close enough that she could see the exhaustion beneath his composure. I'm not asking to take them from you, Amara, he said quietly. I'm asking to be part of their lives, to be part of yours. Her breath caught. You don't even know me. I know enough. His gaze didn't waver. I know you're strong. I know you've been doing this alone for 6 months. I know you sent that photo tonight because you needed someone. It was an accident. Was it? She froze. Had it been? She didn't know anymore. He reached out slowly. His fingers brushed her hand. She didn't pull away. I'm not the man you think I am, he said. Yes, you are. No. His grip tightened, just slightly. I'm worse. But I'm also the father of your children, and I will protect them. With everything I have. Even if it means more blood? If it means keeping them safe? He didn't blink. Yes. She should have been horrified. Instead, she felt something else. Certainty. He wasn't lying. He wasn't performing. This was who he was. And part of her had always known. What do you want from me? She whispered. Let me in. You're already in. Not the apartment. He looked at her. Really looked. Let me in, Amara. Let me prove I can be more than what you're afraid of. She wanted to say no. She wanted to protect herself. Her babies. But when she looked at him, at the way his hand still rested on hers, the way his eyes held something raw and unguarded, she couldn't. One chance, she said. His shoulders eased. One chance, he repeated. You disappoint me, you hurt them, you bring your war to my door. I won't. You don't know that. Yes, he said. I do. She searched his face, and against every instinct she believed him. Okay. He exhaled, slow, controlled. Then he stood, pulled out his phone. "What are you doing?" she asked. "Calling my men. You're moving." "I'm what?" "You're 6 months pregnant with triplets, in a third-floor walk-up. No security, no protection." He didn't look up from his phone. "That ends tonight. You can't just—" "I can, and I am." "Minho." He looked at her. "You gave me one chance, Amara. Let me use it." She opened her mouth, closed it. He was right. She hated that he was right. "Fine," she muttered, "but I picked the place." A flicker of a smile crossed his face. "Deal." The penthouse was too much. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. Marble floors. A kitchen bigger than her old apartment. And silence. The kind of silence that only money could buy. Amara stood in the living room, hands on her belly, trying to process the last 12 hours. Yesterday, she'd been alone. Today, she was living in a crime lord's safe house with 3 babies growing inside her and a man who looked at her like she was the only thing in the world that mattered. It was terrifying. Minho appeared in the doorway. He'd changed. Dark shirt, sleeves rolled up, no jacket. He looked softer. "You haven't eaten," he said. "I'm not hungry." "You're eating for 4. She shot him a look. He didn't smile, but his eyes lightened. "Come," he said. "I made something." "You cook?" "Don't sound so surprised." She followed him into the kitchen. On the counter, a bowl of rice, grilled fish, vegetables, simple, warm. Her stomach betrayed her with a low growl. He pulled out a chair. She sat. He placed the bowl in front of her, then stepped back. She picked up the chopsticks, took a bite. It was good. Better than good. "Where did you learn to cook?" she asked. "My mother." Something in his voice made her look up. He was staring at the counter, jaw tight. "She's gone," he added quietly. "I'm sorry." He nodded. They ate in silence. But it wasn't uncomfortable. It was. Shared. When she finished, he took her bowl without a word. Washed it. Dried it. She watched him. This man. This dangerous, feared, untouchable man. Washing dishes in his own kitchen like it was the most natural thing in the world. "Why are you doing this?" she asked. "Doing what?" "This." "All of it." She gestured around. "The penthouse, the food, the care." He set the bowl down, turned to face her. "Because you're carrying my children. That's not a reason. That's an obligation." "No." He stepped closer. "It's a choice." She swallowed. He stopped in front of her, close enough to touch. "I told you I looked for you," he said. "I meant it. For months, Amara, I hired people. I searched every lead. I couldn't stop thinking about you." "Why?" "Because that night—" He paused, exhaled. "That night you looked at me like I was just a man. Not a name, not a title, just me." Her chest tightened. "And when you disappeared," he continued, "I realized I'd never felt that before, and I wanted it back." She couldn't breathe. "This isn't about the babies," he said quietly. "This is about you. Minho, I'm not asking you to love me." His hand lifted, hesitated, then cupped her cheek. "I'm asking you to let me try to earn it." Her eyes burned. She should pull away. She should protect herself. But his touch was so gentle, so careful, like she was something precious. "I don't know if I can do this," she whispered. "You don't have to know. Just don't run." She looked up at him, and for the first time, she saw past the crime lord. She saw the man who cooked for her, who searched for her, who touched her like she might break. "Okay," she breathed. His thumb brushed her cheekbone. "Okay." Then he leaned down, slowly, giving her time to stop him. She didn't. His lips met hers, soft, warm, certain, and in that moment the world outside didn't exist. No empire, no fear, no danger. Just him, just her, just this. When he pulled back, his forehead rested against hers. "Stay," he whispered. She closed her eyes. "I'm trying." The first threat came 3 days later. Amara was in the nursery, a room Minho had prepared without asking, 3 cribs already assembled, soft gray walls, blackout curtains. When she heard voices rise in the hallway, sharp, tense. She froze, hand on the crib rail. Then Minho's voice cut through. Cold. Final. Get him out of my sight before I forget we're family. A door slammed. Silence. She waited. Footsteps approached. Controlled. Deliberate. Minho appeared in the doorway. His expression was calm, but his knuckles were white. What happened? She asked. Nothing you need to worry about. Minho, I said it's handled. But his jaw was too tight, his breathing too measured. She stepped closer. Talk to me. He looked at her. Really looked. And something in him cracked. My cousin, he said quietly. He found out about you. About the babies. Her stomach dropped. And? He thinks you're a liability. The word hung in the air like a blade. What does that mean? Minho's eyes darkened. It means some people in my world don't understand why I'd risk everything for someone who isn't part of the organization. Why I'd bring children into this life. And what did you tell him? That if he ever speaks your name again, I'll bury him myself. The certainty in his voice sent a chill down her spine, not because it scared her, but because she believed him. Minho, maybe he's right. His head snapped toward her. What? Maybe I am a liability. Her voice wavered. Maybe bringing me into your world, bringing them into it is a mistake. He crossed the room in 2 strides. His hands framed her face. Listen to me, he said, voice low and fierce. You are not a mistake. These babies are not a mistake, and anyone who thinks otherwise doesn't understand what matters. And what matters? You. Her breath caught. My entire life, he continued, I've built empires. I've made men fear my name. I've done things I'll never be able to take back. His thumbs brushed her cheeks. But none of it meant anything until I met you. You barely know me. I know enough. His forehead touched hers. I know you're brave. I know you're carrying 3 lives you're willing to protect with everything you have. I know you look at me like I'm more than the monster everyone else sees. Tears slipped down her face. I'm scared, she whispered. So am I. That stopped her. She pulled back enough to see his eyes. You're scared? Terrified. A bitter smile touched his lips. I've faced enemies, betrayals, wars. But the thought of losing you? Of failing these babies? He exhaled. That's the only thing that's ever made me feel powerless. She'd never heard him sound like this, vulnerable, raw, human. What do we do? She asked. We fight. His grip tightened, just slightly. Together. She wanted to believe that was possible. Your cousin is handled. But what if there are others? There will be. He didn't lie to her. My world doesn't forgive easily, and there are people who will see you as a weakness. Then maybe, no. His voice turned to steel. You don't run. Not again. Not from this. I'm trying to protect them, and I'm trying to protect all of you. He leaned closer. Let me, Amara. Let me do what I do best. She searched his face and saw the truth there. He would burn his entire empire to the ground before he let anything happen to her. It should have terrified her. Instead, it made her feel safe. Okay, she breathed. Relief flooded his expression. He kissed her forehead. Slow, gentle. Thank you. She closed her eyes and let herself believe just for a moment that this could work. That night, she couldn't sleep. She stood by the window watching the city lights blur against the glass, one hand resting on her belly. The babies were restless tonight, moving, kicking, like they could feel her anxiety. Hey, she whispered, it's okay, I've got you. So do I. She turned. Minho stood in the doorway, barefoot, white shirt unbuttoned at the collar. He looked almost ordinary. Can't sleep? He asked. They're active tonight. He crossed to her, stopped at her side. May I? She nodded. He placed his hand on her belly, and immediately one of the babies kicked. His eyes widened. Did you? I felt it. Wonder crossed his face. They're strong. They take after their father. He smiled, a real one. She'd never seen him smile like that before. What? She asked. Nothing, just... He looked down at her stomach. I never thought I'd have this. What? A family. The words settled between them, warm, fragile. You say that like it's impossible, she said softly. In my world, it is. His hand spread wider on her belly. Men like me don't get happy endings, Amara. We get power, control, fear, but not this. Then maybe you're not just a man like that. He looked at her. You don't know what I've done. No, she agreed. But I know what you're doing now. His throat worked. And what's that? Trying. She covered his hand with hers. That's more than most people do. For a long moment, he just stared at her. Then he pulled her close, careful of her belly, gentle. She rested her head against his chest. His heartbeat was steady, strong. I won't let anything happen to you, he murmured into her hair. I know. I mean it, Amara, whatever it takes. She believed him, and that was what scared her most, because she knew exactly what whatever it takes meant in his world. Blood, war, sacrifice. But as she stood there, wrapped in his arms, feeling their babies move between them, she couldn't bring herself to pull away. The attack came at dawn. Amara woke to the sound of shattering glass. Her eyes flew open. Minho was already moving, pulling on clothes, reaching for something under the bed. A gun. Her heart stopped. Stay here, he ordered. What's happening? Amara, stay. Here. Then he was gone. She heard shouts, footsteps, more glass breaking. Her hands went to her belly instinctively. Please, please be okay. Gunshots. She flinched, pressed herself against the headboard. This was it. This was the world she'd tried to escape. And now it had found her anyway. Minutes passed, like hours. Then the bedroom door opened. Minho stepped inside. No blood on him, gun holstered. But his eyes were cold, empty, the eyes of a crime lord. It's over, he said. Who were they? Rivals. He didn't elaborate. They won't be a problem anymore. She knew what that meant. Did you? Yes. One word, no hesitation. She should have been horrified. She should have run. But all she felt was relief, because he was alive. She was alive. The babies were safe. He crossed to her, knelt beside the bed. I'm sorry, he said quietly. For what? For bringing this into your life. She looked at him, at the man who'd just killed to protect her. At the man who was now looking at her like he expected her to hate him. Minho, if you want to leave, he continued, voice tight, I'll arrange it. Security, money, a new identity, whatever you need. But I won't blame you if... She kissed him, hard, desperate. He froze. Then his hands came up, cupped her face, and he kissed her back. Like she was oxygen, like she was the only thing keeping him human. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, she pressed her forehead to his. I'm not leaving. Amara, I'm not leaving. His eyes searched hers. Why? Because you're right. Her voice shook. We fight together. Something in him broke. He pulled her close, buried his face in her neck. And for the first time since she'd met him, she felt him tremble. I'll keep you safe, he whispered. I swear it. I know. And she did. Because despite everything, the danger, the blood, the impossible world he lived in, she trusted him. Completely. 2 weeks later, everything changed. Amara was 7 months pregnant now. Her belly had grown impossibly large. Moving was difficult. Breathing was harder. But the babies were healthy. 3 strong heartbeats. 3 little fighters. Minho had become obsessed with doctor's appointments. He attended every single one. Took notes. Asked questions the doctors didn't expect from a man like him. At night, he read to her belly. Korean fairy tales. Stories his mother used to tell him. His voice, usually so cold and controlled, softened when he spoke to them. They can hear you, you know, Amara said one night. He looked up from the book. You think so? I know so. She smiled. They kick every time you start reading. Wonder crossed his face. He placed his hand on her stomach. Right on cue. A kick. He laughed. Actually laughed. The sound was so unexpected, so genuine, that Amara's chest tightened. What? He asked, noticing her expression. Nothing. Just, I've never heard you laugh before. His smile faded slightly. I haven't had much reason to. And now? He looked at her belly, then back at her. Now I have 3 reasons. And you. Her throat closed. Before she could respond, his phone buzzed. The warmth drained from his face. He checked the screen. I have to go, he said. Now? It's important. More important than Amara. His voice was gentle but firm. I'll be back in 2 hours, I promise. She wanted to argue, but she saw the tension in his shoulders. Whatever this was, it was serious. Okay, she whispered. He kissed her forehead. Lock the door behind me. Don't open it for anyone except me or my head of security. Minho, promise me. I promise. He left. She locked the door and waited. 3 hours passed, then 4. Her calls went to voicemail. Her texts stayed undelivered. Panic started to creep in. At the 5th hour, someone knocked. She grabbed her phone, ready to call security. Amara, it's me. Minho's voice. Relief flooded through her. She unlocked the door. He stood there, suit wrinkled. Blood on his collar. Not his blood, she realized. Someone else's. What happened? She breathed. He walked past her, went straight to the bedroom. She followed. He was packing a bag. Minho, talk to me. We're leaving. What? Tonight. Now. He didn't look at her. Pack light. Just essentials. You're scaring me. Good. His eyes finally met hers. You should be scared. Her blood ran cold. What happened? He stopped, gripped the edge of the dresser. There's a war coming, he said quietly. Between my family and another organization, it's been brewing for months. Tonight, it became inevitable. What does that mean for us? It means you're a target. His knuckles were white. It means they know about you, about the babies, and they'll use you to get to me. Her hand went to her belly. Where are we going? Somewhere safe, somewhere they can't reach you. And you? He didn't answer. Minho, and you? I have to stay. His voice was flat. I have to finish this. No. She crossed to him, grabbed his arm. No. You're coming with us. I can't. Yes, you can. If I run, they'll never stop hunting you. He turned to face her fully. The only way to keep you safe is to end this, permanently. By doing what? His silence was answer enough. No, she said again. I won't let you. This isn't your choice. The hell it isn't. Her voice broke. You think I can just leave? Raise these babies knowing you're out there fighting a war that might kill you? Better that than you and them dying because of me. Don't you dare. Tears spilled down her face. Don't you dare make this sound noble. You're choosing violence over us. You're choosing your empire. I'm choosing your life. His voice finally rose. Don't you understand? If I don't end this, they will never stop. They will hunt you. They will use our children as leverage. They will destroy everything He stopped, breathed. Everything I love, he finished quietly. The words hung between them. Love. He'd never said it before. Minho, I can't lose you. His hands cupped her face. I can't. So please, please let me protect you the only way I know how. She looked into his eyes, saw the fear there, the desperation. Come with us, she whispered. Leave the empire, leave the war, just be with us. You know I can't. You won't. No. His thumb brushed her tears away. I can't. Because if I do, they'll see it as weakness, and they'll come for you anyway. At least this way, if I end it, you'll be free. I don't want to be free without you. His eyes closed. You have to be. No. He kissed her. Deep, desperate, like goodbye. When he pulled away, his forehead rested against hers. He breathed. I love you and I love them, and that's why I have to do this. Please. The car leaves in 20 minutes. He stepped back. Be ready. Then he walked out. She stood there, shaking, broken. And for the first time since this all began, she didn't know if to do this. She didn't pack. Hands on her belly, feeling the babies move, thinking. Minho was right about one thing. If he stayed, the danger would never end. But if he fought this war alone, he might not survive. and she couldn't live with that. So she made a choice. She picked up her phone. Dialed. Hello? His head of security. I need you to take me somewhere, she said. Ma'am, Mr. Kang gave strict orders. I don't care about his orders. Her voice was steady. I need to see him. Now. A pause. That's not safe. I know. Another pause. Where is he? She smiled grimly. You know where. The warehouse was on the edge of the city. Dark, industrial, the kind of place where people disappeared. Amara walked inside, flanked by 2 bodyguards who looked ready to pull her back at any moment. Inside, men in black suits lined the walls. And in the center, Minho, facing 3 other men. Rivals, she realized. The leaders of the other organization. Everyone turned when she entered. Minho's face went white. What are you doing here? He demanded. She walked forward, slowly, carefully, one hand on her belly. Stopping you from making the biggest mistake of your life. Amara, no. She stopped in front of him. You listen to me now. The warehouse was silent. She turned to the rival leaders. You want to use me against him, she said. You want to make him weak, make him vulnerable. One of them smiled. Smart girl. Then you're idiots. Her voice didn't waver. Because you're looking at this all wrong. How so? She looked at Minho, then back at them. He's not weak because he loves me. He's dangerous because he loves me. She stepped closer to the rivals. You think threatening me will make him negotiate? Surrender? You're wrong. It'll make him burn your entire organization to the ground. The smiles faded. But, she continued, if you're smart, if you actually want to survive this, you'll end this war now, before it costs all of you everything. And why would we do that? She smiled. Because I'm offering you something better than blood. Minho stared at her. What are you talking about? He asked quietly. She looked at him. A truce. An alliance. She turned back to the rivals. You're fighting over territory, resources, power. But what if instead of destroying each other, you worked together? That's not how this world works, one of them said. Then change how it works. Silence. She's right. Everyone turned. Minho's cousin stepped forward, the same one who'd called her a liability. We've been at war for months, he said. And what has it gotten us? Dead soldiers? Lost profits? Enemies at every corner. He looked at Amara. Maybe it's time we tried something different. Minho's jaw tightened, but he didn't argue. The rival leaders exchanged glances. What are you proposing? One asked. Amara took a breath. A partnership, shared territories, joint operations, and a promise. Anyone who breaks the truce answers to all of you. It was insane. It was impossible. But as she stood there, 7 months pregnant, staring down the most dangerous men in the city, she saw them consider it. And what do you get out of this? One asked. She looked at Minho. A future. His eyes softened. The rival leaders talked amongst themselves. Low voices, tense. Finally, one stepped forward. We'll agree to a temporary truce. 3 months. If it works, we'll make it permanent. Relief flooded through her. And if it doesn't? Minho asked. The man smiled coldly. Then we finish this the old way. Minho nodded. Deal. They shook hands. The tension in the room eased. Slightly. The rivals left. And then it was just them. Minho turned to her. That was the most reckless, dangerous, stupid thing you've ever done. I know. You could have been killed. I know. You... She kissed him. He melted into it. When they broke apart, his hands were shaking. Don't ever do that again, he whispered. Then don't ever leave me again. He pulled her close as her belly would allow. Never, he promised. And she believed him. The babies were born on a Tuesday, 3 weeks early, but healthy. 2 boys, 1 girl. Minho cried when he held them, actually cried. Tears streaming down his face as he cradled each tiny body against his chest, like they were made of glass and starlight. They're perfect, he whispered. Amara, exhausted and euphoric, smiled from the hospital bed. They are. He looked at her, eyes red, face raw with emotion. You're incredible. I know. He laughed through his tears and kissed her forehead with a tenderness that made her chest ache. I love you. I love you too. It was the first time she'd said it. His breath caught. Say it again. I love you, Minho. He kissed her, soft, reverent, like she was a prayer he'd been too afraid to speak. I'll spend the rest of my life proving I deserve that, he murmured against her lips. You already have. The first weeks were chaos, beautiful, exhausting chaos. 3 newborns meant 3 feeding schedules, 3 diaper changes, 3 distinct personalities emerging before Amara's sleep-deprived eyes. Their daughter, the smallest of the 3, was fierce from day one. When she cried, the entire penthouse knew. When she wanted something, she made sure you gave it to her. Their oldest son was quieter, observant. He watched everything with dark, serious eyes that reminded Amara so much of Minho it hurt. Their youngest son was the wild one, always moving, always squirming, always finding trouble even at 3 weeks old. Minho was unexpected. He changed diapers without hesitation, walked the floors at 3 a.m. with a screaming baby against his shoulder, learned how to swaddle, how to burp, how to tell the difference between hungry cries and tired cries. The crime lord who'd once made grown men fear for their lives now sang lullabies in Korean, his deep voice soft and off-key. You're staring, he said one night. Amara blinked. She was sitting in the nursing chair, feeding their daughter, and she'd been watching him rock their oldest son to sleep. Sorry. Don't be. He smiled. I like when you look at me like that. Like what? Like you're surprised I'm real. Her throat tightened. Sometimes I am. He crossed to her, careful not to jostle the baby in his arms, and kissed the top of her head. I'm real, Amara. This is real, and I'm not going anywhere. She believed him. The truce held. 3 months became 6. The alliance Amara had brokered in that warehouse, the impossible alliance that everyone said would fail, was working. Violence decreased, profits increased. Territories were shared without bloodshed. It wasn't perfect. There were still disagreements, still moments of tension, but no one broke the truce, because everyone remembered what was at stake. Minho's cousin visited one afternoon. He stood in the living room, surrounded by baby gear and toys, looking completely out of place. So, he said, this is what you gave up the empire for. Minho, who was currently trying to assemble a swing while their youngest son chewed on his finger, looked up. I didn't give up the empire. I just redefined what it means. His cousin raised an eyebrow. And what does it mean now? Minho glanced at Amara, at the babies sleeping in their bassinets. Everything that matters. His cousin was silent for a long moment. Then he smiled. Actually smiled. You know what? I think you might be right. He left 20 minutes later. But before he did, he held their daughter. Just for a moment. And when he handed her back, his eyes were different. Softer. She's beautiful, he said quietly. Thank you. And for what it's worth. He met Minho's eyes. I was wrong about Amara, about all of this. You didn't become weak. You became something better. Minho nodded. I know. 6 months became a year. The babies grew, started sitting up, crawling, getting into everything. The penthouse transformed, gates on the stairs, locks on the cabinets. Toys scattered across every surface. It drove Minho's staff insane. He didn't care. One evening, Amara found him in the nursery, just sitting in the rocking chair, watching their children sleep. Hey, she whispered. He looked up. Hey, what are you doing? Just looking at them. She crossed to him, sat on the armrest. What are you thinking about? He was quiet for a moment. My mother, he finally said. Amara's hand found his shoulder. Tell me about her. She was kind, too kind for the world she was born into. His voice was soft. She used to tell me stories, sing to me, try to give me a normal childhood even though she knew it was impossible. What happened to her? She got sick, cancer. By the time we caught it, it was too late. His jaw tightened. I was 17. I watched her die slowly, painfully, and I couldn't do anything to stop it. Amara's eyes burned. I'm sorry. She made me promise something before she died. What? That I wouldn't let this life turn me into a monster. That I'd find something worth living for beyond power and fear. He looked at their sleeping children. I thought I'd broken that promise. For 14 years, I thought I'd failed her. And now? He looked up at Amara. Now I think maybe I finally kept it. She leaned down, kissed him. Soft and slow. When they pulled apart, she rested her forehead against his. She'd be proud of you, she whispered. You think so? I know so. His arms wrapped around her waist, and they sat there, in the quiet, surrounded by the soft breathing of their children, by the life they'd built from impossible choices and unwavering love. Thank you, he murmured. For what? For giving me this, for giving me them, for believing I could be more than what I was. You always were more, Minho. You just needed a reason to show it. His grip tightened. You're my reason, you and them, always. Their first birthday was overwhelming. Family, friends, business associates who looked completely out of place surrounded by balloons and cake. But they came. All of them. Because Minho invited them. And in his world, an invitation was a command. But also, Amara suspected, because they were curious. Curious about the woman who'd changed the most feared man in the city. Curious about the babies who'd rewritten the rules of an empire. She watched Minho navigate it all. The careful balance between crime lord and father, between power and tenderness. He held their daughter on his hip while discussing territory agreements. He wiped cake off their oldest son's face while negotiating profit splits. He was still dangerous, still commanding. But he was also different. Softer around the edges. More human. You're staring again, he said, appearing at her side. She smiled. I'm allowed to stare at my fiancé. He'd proposed 2 months ago. Simple, direct. Just him, her, and a ring that took her breath away. When are we actually getting married? He asked. When we can plan a wedding that doesn't involve 3 toddlers destroying everything. So never? Probably. He laughed, then kissed her temple. I don't care when we do it, as long as we do. Me too. Their youngest son ran past, chased by 2 other children. Chaos incarnate. He's definitely yours, Amara muttered. And she's definitely yours. He nodded toward their daughter, who was currently ordering another child to give her a toy with all the authority of a tiny dictator. They both laughed. It was messy. It was loud. It was perfect. That night, after everyone left and the kids were finally asleep, they collapsed on the couch. Exhausted. Happy. That was insane, Amara said. That was amazing. She looked at him. You really think so? I do. He pulled her closer. A year ago, I couldn't have imagined this. Any of this. What were you imagining? Honestly, nothing. I thought I'd die young, violently, alone. His hand found hers. I never thought I'd live to see 35, let alone have a family. And now? Now I want to live forever. He kissed her knuckles. Just to spend more time with you. Her chest tightened. That's the most romantic thing you've ever said. I'm getting better at it. You are. They sat in comfortable silence. Then Minho spoke again. I've been thinking. About? Stepping back. From the organization. She sat up. What? Not completely, but delegating more, letting others handle the day-to-day operations. He met her eyes. I want to be here, with you, with them. I don't want to miss anything. Tears pricked her eyes. You're serious? Completely. What about the empire? It'll survive without me micromanaging it. And if it doesn't? He shrugged. Then it wasn't built on a strong enough foundation anyway. She stared at him. This man who'd once valued power above everything, now choosing family instead. I love you, she whispered. I love you too. She kissed him. Deep. Grateful. When they broke apart, she was smiling. So what do we do now? Now? He pulled her into his lap. Now we live. 2 years later, they got married. Small ceremony. Close friends and family only. The babies, now walking, talking, tiny tornadoes of energy, were the ring bearers and flower girl. It went about as well as expected. Their youngest son tripped and cried. Their oldest son took his job so seriously he walked at a glacial pace. Their daughter threw flowers at guests instead of dropping them gently. It was chaos. It was perfect. When Minho saw Amara walking down the aisle, he cried. Again. She'd learned that about him over the years. Beneath the cold exterior, beneath the reputation, he felt everything deeply. He just didn't show it to the world, only to her, only to their children. "You look beautiful," he whispered when she reached him. "You look terrified." "I am." He took her hands. "Terrified I'll wake up and this will all be a dream." "It's not a dream." "Promise?" "I promise." They said their vows, simple, honest, promises they'd already been keeping for years. And when the officiant said, "You may kiss the bride," Minho cupped her face and kissed her like she was the only thing in the world that mattered. Because she was. 5 years after the babies were born, their daughter started asking questions. "Daddy, why do people call you Dawn?" Minho looked up from the book he was reading her. "It's a nickname." "But what does it mean?" He glanced at Amara. She raised an eyebrow. "Your call," she seemed to say. He sighed. "It means I'm a leader, someone people respect. Like a king? Something like that. Are you a good king?" He smiled. "I try to be." "Mommy says you used to be scary." "Did she now?" Amara smirked from the doorway. "I said you used to scare other people, not me." Their daughter considered this. "Do you still scare people?" "Sometimes," Minho admitted. "When they do bad things." "Oh." She seemed satisfied with that. "That's okay then. Bad people should be scared." He kissed her forehead. "You're absolutely right, princess." She snuggled closer. "I love you, Daddy." His eyes closed. "I love you too, sweetheart. More than anything." 6 years after that impossible night. After the accidental photo, the desperate search, the collision of two impossible worlds, Amara stood in their kitchen, watching Minho teach their sons how to make breakfast, watching their daughter read at the table, already devouring books beyond her age level, watching the life they'd built, the empire they'd created. Not one built on fear or violence, but on love, on choice, on the belief that people could change if they had a reason to. Minho caught her staring. Again. He smiled. That soft, private smile he saved just for her. And crossed to her, pulled her close. "What are you thinking about?" he murmured. "How different everything is." "Good different? The best different?" He kissed her. Slow. Sweet. "I love you, Amara King." She smiled against his lips. "I love you too." Behind them, their children started arguing about something. Probably the last piece of bacon. They broke apart, both laughing. "I'll handle it," Minho said. "No, I've got it." Together? Always. They turned back to their beautiful chaos, to their children who were loud and messy and perfect, to the life that had seemed impossible 6 years ago. And Amara realized something. She wouldn't change a single thing. Not the fear, not the danger, not the impossible choices. Because all of it, every terrifying, beautiful moment had led them here. To this kitchen. This family. This love. And that was worth everything.